This is the Furious Focus. This is your host, Golden Zermac. I'm here today with a buddy of mine, Tony Brettman. He actually wore the tank top today. I wasn't going to wear one, but I'm glad I did not because I'm highly intimidated. Tony, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, Golden.
I got to give you a hard time. I've known Tony for years through the photography business and the modeling side of things, but we're going to take a little bit of a deep dive into who he is and how he came to be in front of the cameras these days. But Tony, for those that don't know you, who is Tony Brettman? What can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah. First of all, I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. You're one of the first to bring me into this industry, and I appreciate the opportunity to get back here and do a podcast.
Yeah.
Who is Tony Brettman? That's a great question. I don't know, man. I'm just an average Joe. We'll say an average Tony. Um, I'm a single father, three kids from the south side of Chicago, trying to make my way in the world just like everybody else. And
A lot of things that have come up on the show has been stuff like people are thrust into situations they never really planned on. So when it came to your early life, before the modeling and the spotlight and everything, what were the early years for you like?
awkward. I don't probably someone trying to find themselves.
Hmm.
I was adopted, raised by a single mom, and so throughout my childhood, it's been like an exploration of identity, trying to figure out who is Tony Brettman. So the fact that you even asked that question, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
Because I'm still trying to figure it out, and I'll be 39 here in January. I feel like I've come a long way, but also there's a long way to go. When I was 4 years old, I was in a bad car accident with my brother, who's also adopted. And I think that experience really put me on a different path and a good one. He's a TBI, traumatic brain injury, he's in a wheelchair. And that experience has led into this trail of kind of the unknown, but also with a lot of diversity. So even from the beginning, we're kind of throwing punches and trying to figure out how to dodge them.
Hey, I mean, that's a lot of people. And it does shape where you go from there. We'll talk a little bit later about mental health and things like that. But one common thing I've seen talking to people is people tend to view things down the road in the future based upon incidents that have happened in their childhood, which is both a blessing and a curse because you tend to hold on to that a lot instead of viewing things through your current eyes, viewing them through your past eyes, which prevents you sometimes from seeing the good in current situation because of that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's spot on. Almost like an evolutionary device to keep you on your current path, right?
Hmm.
I think a lot of my early on childhood stuff, I'm framing it into my perspective now, but I'm trying to utilize it as motivation and a way to fuel the fire that's in me because I have a lot of fire
Right.
and I want to get to a point. Where that point is, I'm not sure yet.
I don't
But
think a lot of us know either.
yeah, but that past has sure lit an ignition where I look at it and I go, okay, it can either make me or break me.
Hmm.
And at this point in my life, I want to use it to make me.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's a good mentality to have. So, as you were growing up and being in your circumstances, you're obviously very fit, well looking for your age. What brought the fitness side in? What made you pick up weights the first time? What was the motivation behind doing so?
growing up, I played soccer and volleyball.
Mhm.
Don't really look like a soccer volleyball player right now.
No, not at
But
all.
no, no. And honestly, I went to an all guys Catholic high school, and if you didn't play football or baseball or were on the wrestling team or rugby, you weren't allowed in the gym. Like you were not allowed to lift weights.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so I actually didn't start lifting until I was like 19. And kind of the ignition for that was I got hurt in college. I was supposed to play college soccer and volleyball, and I tore my meniscus in my knee.
Mm.
And that got me into the gym. And I kind of did my own rehab and I just grown a love for it. But I think even before that, like being active in sports, I owe a lot of it to my brother because like he couldn't do it. And so I wanted to be the physical personification of his will, even though he was in a wheelchair.
Hmm.
I would go with him all the time to physical therapy, and he was in Special Olympics. He still is in Special Olympics, and I can see how hard he works. And so when I looked at it, I said, "Well, I see how hard he works, and like he's in a wheelchair, and I have no excuse."
Right.
So that really started at an early age, even before the college thing, even before the sports, because I could see the will and desire in his eyes,
Hmm.
and I wanted to support him in his journey. And the only way I could think of doing it is giving him my all.
Yeah, that's all we can do, right? It's do the best we can given the circumstances and everything else. When you first were allowed into the gym, um, did you kind of know what you were doing there? Did you have a plan, or was it just kind of oh God, let's just wing it like a lot of us do when we first get there?
I think anyone that aspires, especially with like the perspective of bodybuilding, let's say, I mean, you look at your idols like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I saw Pumping Iron at an early age.
I
And
think a lot of
so
us
I
did.
had,
Yep.
yeah, so I had a little bit of a blueprint, right? But like I went to the bro side of things. Like I'm only gonna do chest and I'm only gonna do arms. And I'm watching Rocky movies while I'm doing push-ups, right?
I so can't
Although
tell that's the route you went. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Just you're just morphine a little bit.
although like a great inspiration and motivation to get into fitness and being athletic, probably not great for like planning, right? And
Hmm.
so I want to say not until I was out of my 20s until I started getting serious about lifting and not just like, okay, I'm gonna lift everything in the gym. No, I want to lift the right things at the gym. And
Hmm.
so that probably changed around like 30, 31.
Oh yeah. So was the reason for the shift more the dedication and a push forward with a purpose relative to it instead of just, hey, I'm just gonna lift and be a gym bro?
Yeah, and honestly, I credit the modeling stuff because I wanted to rehab in the beginning, right? So back when I was 19 in college, I'm like, all right, well, I can't be active on the field. So I might as well pursue an individual goal, which is getting back into shape and being able to do the things I normally do. And so going in with that plan was more broad. Like I want to look good, I want to feel good, and I want to perform. And things shifted when I realized that someone's asking me to model, so maybe I need to take this fitness thing a lot more serious
Hmm.
and figure out a game plan and how do I get to where I want to be. And so I think in the stages of life really molded the direction in which I was going. And I think if I didn't have the modeling stuff, my fitness would have looked a lot different. And even
Mm.
now I'm switching gears, trying to figure out, okay, do I want to bulk or do I want to shred down
Yeah.
and do a different side of modeling that I'm normally not doing?
Hmm.
So I think definitely life provides that path for you, and you just have to be aware enough to pick it up and adapt.
Right. And I think a lot of us too, there comes a point where we're undergoing our transformations and we finally get to a point where we can look in a mirror and say, this is the guy I'm wanting to be. But of course it never lasts, but with the with the push to continue forward. But there's a point where you change over from that mentality of just lifting randomly because I remember too just having a specific shift from just going in and working out to actually, okay, I'm taking this a little more seriously now. I guess yeah, it does fit more for like a purpose and a goal. Having that as a driver helps a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't, in a thousand million years, I would not imagine me being at this moment in this time. And now I have this newfound purpose and this passion. This has helped motivating me into the gym and figuring out, okay, I need to do this to help support my passion instead of just going in there and trying to lift all the weights and be the strongest person in the gym. It's not my goal.
I think we all go through the phase of that. Oh
We
God, let
do.
me max my bench and max this and max that. And ironically, I'm trying to do that now because I'm on a bulk. But it's true. You do shift your focus some, and you learn that sometimes, I mean, heavy is good when it's good, but then there's a time and a place for other
Yeah.
things to help you, depending on what you're looking to do.
Yeah. I think it's like a microcosm for life. Right.
Hmm.
So depending on where you're at in life determines your motivation, right? My goals now are different than they were 10 years ago.
Exactly. So we know you model. Were you approached by anyone in particular? Were there circumstances that led to it? Were you seeking it out?
I definitely wasn't seeking it out. I mean, for the lack of a better phrasing, I was hiding.
Uh huh.
Like the photography, the modeling side of things, I never would have thought of doing until someone recognized it within me. And I'm like, okay, well, I never thought about pursuing it, but maybe there is something here.
Hmm.
And so that's going to shift how I look at things and my approach. I just got lucky that the right people came into my life at the right time. And I feel like that's a lot of people's stories.
I would agree. And a lot of people too, when it comes to modeling, there's excitement initially. And then as you go along, you start to second guess yourself and doing it. It's like, oh God, now I want to pull back because it does put you outside of your comfort zone. I mean, we take selfies all the time, right? And
100%.
but freeing that control over to somebody else to take pictures of you, whatever the thing, be it clothing, be it fitness modeling, it puts you in a little bit of a vulnerable position because you can't pick the edits essentially. You can't do this and that. Correct me if I'm wrong when it comes to your situation. People have found themselves better afterwards, though, having done it, because it does give them a different perspective on one themselves because they're viewing themselves in different angles physically. But two, you went through some shit and now you're able to say, "Hey, I can do this kind of stuff." And it's not as creepy and weird. Not saying that it's never creepy and weird with people out there. You got to be careful, but it's not as quote bad for you in the end.
I feel like it came the modeling thing because Reggie Denching approached me.
Hmm.
He's like, "You have something that I think will look good on camera." And I'm like, "I appreciate that." And that whole experience, his approach to me came at a point in time in my life where I lost my identity.
Hmm.
Um, I was in a marriage that wasn't working, and I was probably the lowest I've ever felt about myself. And so to have someone come in and say, "Hey, I see something in you. You may not see it, which you probably don't, but you have something here that you could work hard towards and build something off of."
Right.
And I've always had my mom, my adopted mom. She's always been super supportive. And I felt emotionally she was telling me that, but I've never had someone like physically, verbally say that to me.
Hmm.
I thought about it. I thought about it. And then I was going through my divorce. And I'm like, well, let's do it. Someone is believing in me. And I need a change in how I view myself. And maybe this is the change I need.
Right. And I think that's the case. It depends on the circumstances. Like you said, you were feeling low and you were feeling like that was helping you get out of that situation. And ultimately, I believe it did. A good follow on question to that is for your shoots. I know that when we do them, we kind of put on a fantasy act for people. But in a way, do you feel that it's both a performance, but also a means of self expression for you?
Oh, interesting. That's a great question. It's definitely a performance.
Mm
Self-expression, yes, but not in the way that maybe people would think of it normally.
hmm. Mm
In terms of the way I want to express myself is I view it as I'm trying to be a character. I'm
hmm. Mm
trying to be something for somebody. And who I'm doing it for is important to me.
hmm.
So I
Mm
want to be that whatever for that person because they find value in it. So I hate to say that I'm trying to live vicariously through their wants and needs, but I'm a people pleaser.
hmm. Mm
That's just what it is. Going through life with all of the adversity, I just want to make people happy, right?
hmm.
And
Right.
there's a lot of negativity and crap in this world.
Oh, for
And so if
sure.
I can pull myself in a positive direction and show that positive side and put positive things in people's buckets, it's exactly what I want to do. So that expression is more because of that. Like my inner expression is to help put positivity in the situation.
Yeah, you just
Um,
want to make sure you're doing a good job, one, and two, that people are satisfied with what you're delivering for that role or job.
1000%, a
And
thousand
that I
percent.
think that's very valuable too, because a lot of times people, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being just, I don't want to say selfish, but you know what I'm saying. But it's great to hear you doing it for other people and making sure that they get the one image that they need in this particular case, but
Yeah,
across the board, making sure people get a desired outcome for what they're putting in is what I'm trying to say.
yeah, for sure. You're a consumer and you are appreciative of the arts just like me. You see something and you emote. You have the feeling that comes on you like, oh my God, that's absolutely amazing. Right.
Hmm.
And that's an experience that I want to give to somebody.
Right.
Right. And
Exactly.
so yeah, that's exactly why I do it. Cause I know how valuable that moment in time is when something just clicks and you're like, that's it. That's the image. That's how I want to feel. That's
Exactly.
exactly what so when I'm in front of the camera, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. I want those moments where someone goes, boom, that's it. Or this is exactly how I wanted to feel. just trying to please the people, which is pushing me to be better and better. At least I think.
Well, and that's all we can do, right? Is we could just
Yeah.
try. I have a two-part question for you. The first part being for the modeling, have there been any moments where there's been lessons of confidence versus ego? Because a lot of times, let's be honest, there are a lot of people in industry that do get egotistical and narcissistic as they go along. Has there been a moment for you where you've had to define that for yourself and be like, no, Tony, if I go that way, it's going to be, if I go this way, it's going to be better?
I've always have that in my mind.
Hmm.
I'm always checking my ego. I think I keep a lot of good people around me where we're on the same level. Like I'm no better than anybody else,
Hmm.
right? And what I'm doing isn't curing cancer, although it is important. I'm not doing something that should have an ego, right? Especially
Hmm.
if my goal is to be better. I want to be the best Tony I can be, but also I want to be the best character creator that I can be. And I'm doing it for somebody to get enjoyment out of. Without the somebody, I wouldn't be here. And so I know for me, I don't like people with egos. And so that keeps me in check. I don't want to be the person that I don't like or that I don't look up to, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Oh, totally. It totally makes sense. The second part of my question is doing what we do on social media tends to lead to a lot of commentary that, you know, I guess this splits as well, but two parts. A lot of negative comments on what you do. And then the second part is a lot of people who think that you're an egotistical narcissist because you're taking pictures of yourself or having people take pictures of you, which of course I can tell you right now is not the case, but the portrayal is there. And I think that just comes from social media in general. But when you see negative comments, do you just try to ignore them, or are you like me? Uh, a couple of them get under your skin and they fester, and they're almost validating your imposter syndrome, and then they just stick with you a little too long. But if that's not the case and you are able to overcome, how does Tony manage to keep all those negative voices out of his head?
Yeah, I think with life, you're always going to have negative voices. If you bring them in, you have to learn how to deal with them. If you keep them out, you have to also be accountable for that type of action. We're taking pictures of ourselves, we're doing selfies, we're promoting ourselves. That's part of it,
Hmm.
right? And I don't know any model that doesn't do that. How else do you
Exactly.
market yourself as a model? So I get it from the person that's outside looking in, right? Oh,
Hmm.
that's all that person wants to do is put themselves on blast. Well, okay, but you also don't have to look at it.
Hmm.
Same with the comments. You don't have to look at the comments. You don't have to respond to the comments. Now, I appreciate when the negative comments come in because it gives me an opportunity to change their thought on me, right? Okay, you think I'm this type of person, and I know what I look like. I look like a douche because there's a stereotype, right? Every industry, every genre, every walk of life has a stereotype. And I think if you're doing yourself and the industry and whatever you're representing justice, you should stand up for the authenticity of self.
Hmm.
And so I don't mind addressing negative comments. I would like them to see me for who I am. And I hope that the people that do know me know why I do it. And if you don't know who I am, then it's my job to show you who I am. I actually do like responding to negative comments because I want someone to see me just like I think the other person on the other side, they will also want to be seen too. And there's a reason why they're being negative instead of positive.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to look at it. A lot of people do get mired and stuck. The commenter and the commentee both get mired sometimes into these pits that they don't want to escape out of, but it's a great opportunity. I'm all for lifelong learning too, so it's a great opportunity for you to, again, teach them something new, at least about yourself, and then they can do whatever they want with that. But at least you've done the
1000%.
effort.
The majority of my experience has been positive. I don't really run across too many negative comments, and maybe I'm not seeing them. Maybe I'm, maybe because I'm such a small fish in a big pond that there's just not a lot of exposure to the negative comments. But even if that was the case, I want to be me, whether
Hmm.
it's positive or negative, but also I want to turn a negative situation into a positive one.
So, relative to modeling, obviously, we're doing this for book covers as well. So
Yeah.
that's brought you into the book world. which is a wild and crazy beast. We could probably do a podcast in and of itself.
We could.
When you first got invited to a book signing, did you have any idea what to expect? Did you know what you were getting into? I mean, any event, public event, is fairly crazy to begin with, especially one that lasts as long as book signings do. But
Yeah.
knowing your history, especially from the bodybuilding side, shows and stuff, but it's different though. It really is. What was your first experience like?
I had no idea. I didn't even know, like, I didn't know the world existed.
Hmm.
I didn't even think about it. Like, I mean, everyone knows who Fabio is, right? That's the first thing people think of.
That's
right?
the one that everybody goes to. And it's like, I see
Everybody-
romance books. They're like, I don't look like Fabio. What do you want to talk? I'm like, oh God.
Yeah. And like, credits to that guy, because obviously
He became a household name for sure,
Yeah.
still.
And even that, I had no idea what to expect. And I went to a small event in Peoria as an invited guest, but the first time I was like a sponsored model at an event, I'm like, yo, what am I doing here? Like, I'm nobody. No one's gonna want my signature for what? What am I autograph for? What reason, right?
Right.
But I was impressed because it felt so warm, like the community was welcoming.
Mhm.
And I did not expect that. I just expected it to be cold and like you're there for business and boom, that's it. But
Almost like Comic-Cons are. People enjoy them and they're very, very successful. But Comic-Cons are
Yeah.
cold compared to book signings.
yeah, and I've been to a handful, C2 in Chicago.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't see anybody like leaving with hugs and like presents and oh, I made this for you 6 months ago and I know it was your birthday and this was your favorite manga. Like no, like
Right?
that just
No,
doesn't-
and it's like, here, give me
doesn't happen.
$20 for a signature.
someone in the book community says, "Oh, I've been following you for 6 months. I made you a quilt." It's like that's wild. I never
Yeah.
thought I would experience like such a warm community.
It's
and,
amazing.
yeah, and I'm super grateful for it.
That's great. It's awesome for real because I've been to so many now. I can't lost count, but it's tough though to be on all the time. Those days do last a while. And I don't know if you're like me, I get tired very quickly after an event is done because you got to have that on switch flipped and you're just smiles and you're go, go, go. And it's authentic. And I think that's what makes it even harder because you're not phoning it in. You're literally enjoying every minute that you're there. You're just wiped by the end of the day.
Yeah.
Do you have a similar thing or do you manage to wake up somehow afterwards? Because I want the
Well,
secret.
So I'm a people person. Like I love being
Yeah.
around people, although I do not like speaking stuff. I don't know
Yeah.
how big speakers do it where you're in front of a crowd. No, thank you. But like engaging with people, I love. Like I want to engage with people, right?
Right.
I don't get a battery drain from it. I get more of a battery charge.
Oh, I
So
wish
being
I did.
around-
Whew.
Yeah, being around people like charges my battery. It gives me motivation to keep doing what I'm doing, especially when I hear all the stories. It's fantastic. I think I went to 9 this year, and they're a lot. It's work still, but it helps when you show up and it's you, and then you don't have to put on like a front. I actually really enjoy it. I want to go to another one and another one, and another one.
I will tell you, my limit was a mix of fitness and book signings, but I went to 42 one year. And
Oh,
I will tell you, don't do that. If you want a happy relationship at the end of it and not to be a zombie, don't do 42. Don't do 42.
that leaves you with like 10 weeks.
Uh-huh.
And-
Yeah. 10 weeks at home. Yeah. No, don't do 40.
I would like to try it out, but there's no way I could do that. There's no way.
Yeah, that's a lot of time on the road. And I was very gung ho brand building at the time.
Yeah.
It was so much work. I mean, it paid off. It was great, but I was just a husk by the end of it. It was like, no,
Yeah.
I can't do this again. So I started paring things down after that.
I get it. I mean, you're like a household name in the industry. Everyone knows who you are.
Oh,
So it makes
I don't know if I
sense.
go that route.
Yeah, for sure. So it makes sense. Like, I mean, you have to put the hustle in to get the output. Like, there's just no other way to do it.
You got to put in work to get results back. A lot of people, they see the success because, again, I think social media has just made everybody so aware of snippets of people's lives where it's like highlight reels and they think it's super easy. I mean, heck, people will rent fancy cars just to take a picture in front of them to make it look like they're being successful.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work. And I think for us that actually put in the work and are authentic about it, it's frustrating because people don't think that you do what you do and earned what you did, which I think is part of the education process. I hope this podcast is part of to
Yeah.
make people realize you do get your picture taken, but there's prep work involved leading up to it. There is, the dieting, the travel, and the hard work that goes into everything else associated with the marketing, promo, blah, blah, blah. That at the end of the day, you're doing hard work. You're earning your keep. It's not like you're going to get a freebie that had you waited 2 seconds to post, somebody else would have posted and got the job instead of you. It's not
It's
that.
right. No, it's not that. People are layered. I mean, we are a complicated species, right? And to look at one dynamic of someone's life and say, "Oh, that's who that person is," that's no, like that would be ignorant, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of layers to what we do. There's a lot of layers to why we do it. I would love to do the modeling thing full time. It's just not in my cards right now. I have a full time gig in the corporate world, and I have 3 kids, and they have a life. And then I have my girlfriend, and she also has a life. And then my
Right.
family and my friends, and like, there's only so much of me, and I don't mind putting a percentage in each bucket. But just like anything, what you see is not necessarily what you get
Right.
because there's other things behind it. But I definitely want to show the best I can, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even sometimes when you show the best you can, that's not exactly what you see as polished, but maybe not all that effort and time to get there certainly was maybe not polished.
And I think that's where a lot of people too don't realize with living the lives that we do, there is a separation there where you're not seeing the entirety of their being by any
Yeah.
stretch of the imagination. And honestly, family comes first and foremost beyond anything. And so people have got to realize that all the other stuff is accessory to that and circles around it. I think most people don't realize or don't care. It's the reality of the situation.
If you were to take snapshots of my social media, I think it would be a conflicting message, right? And that's the nice thing about like going on podcasts and lives and interviews. You get to really showcase who you are. I just did a photo shoot in the city of Chicago in this multi-million-dollar condo. Is that mine? No, but it could look like mine.
You should
Broke.
have took some selfies in there for use down the road. Hey,
Yeah, yeah, right.
here's my morning routine. Oh, God, don't get me started on the morning routine
Yeah.
videos.
I think we have a tendency to judge people by snapshots,
Mm-hmm.
especially in today's political climate and just climate in general. I think we got to remember why the human element is so special, and let's take time and get to know each other and figure out why we tick, because that's the beauty in the ingredients, the why we tick.
That's why I'm so adamant against a lot of stuff that's going on relative to this tech that's
Yes.
impacting industry, because it is removing that element that I think is the most critical element of the whole process is the human touch, that whole soul aspect of it all. But we'll get there. I wanted to
Yeah.
talk before we move there about any creative wall, physical wall, injuries, or whatever. But what do? You don't hide from it. I'm sure you embrace it and use it to grow with. But have there been moments like that for you where you've hit a wall and then you've had to do something to overcome that in order to keep rising?
Yeah. What we do is very physical. And so I think one of the hardest parts to keep consistent is our diet and exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've shot at different weights, and it's harder for me to shoot heavier because I don't like how I look.
Mm-hmm.
That's an individual thing. I like how I look when I'm shredded versus when I'm holding extra weight.
Right.
It's crazy how people like it the other way around. And I appreciate that. So in that case where I'm down on myself because I'm not at the percentage of body fat I need to be, I remember the people that say, well, we actually like this look better. And so
Right.
at least I'm delivering some results to people that actually enjoy the look. I definitely think running into a wall physically is probably the hardest for me because now that I'm getting older, it takes a little longer to get in shape. And
Mm-hmm.
being a
Oh, I
dad and
agree with that.
like juggling my job and I mean, all my kids are in sports, and I used to spend 2 hours in the gym, and now it's 45 minutes to an hour. So I have to maximize that aspect of my life.
Right.
But modeling is my passion, and I want to put the best foot forward. So the way I look at it is just adapt and figure out how to make whatever scenario situation you're in the best that it possibly can. You always have to look at it like the glass is half full instead of half empty. I know
Mm-hmm.
that's cliche, but a positive mind can do a lot. A negative mind can do very little.
I totally agree. It's kind of corny, I guess, a lot as well as I always view lifelong learning, where you're never too knowledgeable about something. You always have room for more. And if you've got a full cup, it's not a good situation to be in because you're going to spill over. You need to have room to keep absorbing new things, because that's the only way for me to keep growing, to
Yeah.
learn different things and adapt to different situations and scenarios that you wouldn't
Yeah.
otherwise experience.
1000%. And I'm like a creature of chaos because that's all I really know. So I feel like those are moments that you have huge growth opportunities, right? Because you realize who you are when times are low,
Hmm.
and you can depend on that person when times are great, right? So when times are good, you can look back at the person that fought through all those adversity moments and low moments in your life, and you have a skill set and a tool set to be able to adapt and essentially overcome the negativity. What's left, you know?
I think some people find it tough to do that, though. Is there any advice that you could give people to help, at least what you do perspective wise, especially in those situations where other men are out there struggling with mental health issues, be it like the dysmorphia thing, but if they're going through challenges, you've got certain situations where you've grown up that can
Sure.
lend some guidance to people. Do you do anything specific to help center you when you need it? I know communication has been a big piece that I've heard people mention to keep everything balanced as much as they can.
It's something that I had to learn to do. It's definitely not something that comes natural because I'm the type of person that holds it in and then beats myself internally up
Hmm.
over it. And I definitely agree with the communication. Having a close group of friends helps because you can rely on them and bounce ideas. But I would say maybe just be reflective in what you have, because to be honest, most people in this life don't have a lot. And so use that to internally motivate yourself to get more, to be more. I think we're a lot more alike than people realize. That your next door neighbor probably goes through the same things you do. The person across the country goes through a lot of the same things you do. Same thing across the world. I think we're a lot more alike than we are different. And if we can identify that within ourselves and use that as a motivator that, hey, I may not be who I want to be today, but I'm going to work my butt off to be that person tomorrow.
Hmm.
That's kind of the way I internalize it, because growing up through adversity and maybe not having the things you want or be the person you want to see in the mirror, the only person that can change that is you. No one else can do that. You have to look inside, you have to identify what you want changed, and then walk that path. And so, if I can provide advice, I would just say be open with who you are, be open with what you want, and seek out those communities that will provide that for you.
I would add as well to be open and honest with yourself, because I think a lot of situations come in where we'll make a lot of excuses for how we are and use that as a crux and excuse. I'm whatever. I think being honest with yourself about it, and then having friends that are also honest with you, helps a lot as well.
Not to put a shine on a negative note, but I'm a product of a bad environment, being born into a situation where I was a legit crack baby. I never use that as a crutch and say, "Oh, well, I can't do something because look at my origin story," or "I can't do something because I have to do something else because I'm being held down by life circumstances and situations." Yeah, I know they do exist, and I know things definitely can hinder your progress and your mental capacity and awareness, but I think if you can hone that and understand my weaknesses, if I can be honest with myself and I can see the things that I want to change, that's step one. The step two is doing something about it.
By no means do I want to imply that any of this is super easy. By all means, it's probably going to
Oh
be the
yeah.
hardest thing you do,
Right.
because if it was super easy, everybody would be freaking fine, right? They wouldn't be in these situations. But it's
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
it's good to hear that you have not let your prior circumstances and situations define and hold you back, because a lot of people will use that as a cage to kind of keep themselves from acting on any other impulse, because they're always basing it upon that past instance instead of the path forward. I'm a firm believer that we have to look at our past as well as where we're going.
Yeah.
But I don't want my past to be the anchor that keeps me there instead of where I'm going to be. Would you agree with that? Or is there a different philosophy you take?
Yeah, 1000%. I think we definitely, in terms of growth opportunities, we are the main hindrance. Like us as individuals, we hinder our own growth. So if we can rise above that and we can acknowledge it, then we can, instead of using something as an anchor, we can use something as an igniter. I may not come from money, or I may not be the best looking, or I may not, whatever may have you.
I
But
may
like,
not have as good
don't.
a beard as Tony does, that stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But your beard is top notch.
Oh,
But like, use that as something that motivates and ignites your passion, and that's the human element, right? Because we aren't all born to the same scenario situation, but man, can we certainly can find our likes. There are tons of communities in this world. Go find your community. Go find your tribe. I wish like mankind and humankind was one tribe. That's wishful thinking, but there are positives in the negatives.
I totally agree. I think too, as your influence grows, you're growing your brand, you're growing your social media and your presence all around, you're doing these different things. I think that probably is an important message that you plan to carry forward because you
Yeah,
did say you'd like to try to see the best in people and bring out the best in people while also delivering what you do for them as well.
yeah.
So I think it all goes hand in hand. Are there plans that you have with your brand where you go expand into these other territories, or is it something that you're still kind of mulling over?
I've thought about different directions to take and influence. I know everyone says social media influencer, brand influencer, but I want to be a positivity influencer. I want someone to take a look at my situation and be inspired and motivated from it. Or have that same perspective of looking elsewhere. Like, hey, I know these people exist. Let me go find them. Helping out communities, definitely like in adoption. I've thought about having a platform where I can influence positively, like a mindset for those in the adoption or foster process.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the vulnerable and special needs community. They don't get the attention that they deserve. They're one of the lowest funded vulnerable groups in the world. So if I can lend a hand in that direction, I would certainly love to. I don't think I'm there yet in terms of my exposure and my community, but I hope to one day to get to a place where I can shed a spotlight on a lot of disadvantaged and vulnerable groups that people may have the wrong idea about. And I know that there's people that have the wrong idea about modeling. So if I can maybe switch that, I can use that method and mindset for other industries, other groups, and other thoughts.
I think that you having that particular goal in mind is something to definitely aspire to. And I think that'll help you keep your goals driven and get you to where you need to be relative to that. Just keep building your brand in that direction and then your support circle to help keep you pushing forward in that direction. It's certainly something that I think a lot of us can aspire to do, especially those of us with voices that are out there.
Mhm.
How do you choose to be your polished self versus more vulnerable Tony? And I know there's subtle differences because you are who you are, but there are certain times that you can be one or the other to get more of a point across. Is there any particular methodology you use to feel that situation out and determine which is best?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Um, I, I mean, that's a really great question. I definitely think that there are moments in time where we recognize when to be vulnerable,
Mhm.
because too much vulnerability leads to maybe inauthenticity. Like, if you're always vulnerable, are you always that person? And sometimes it's good to be vulnerable, right? I think it comes from a place of confidence and security.
Mhm.
I think you have to be comfortable with yourself, and you have to understand, you have to have internal dialogue. You have to actually know who you are to be able to know when to be vulnerable and when to be that polished, that purposeful person with a goal in mind, right? I think like a lot of vulnerabilities come from a vulnerable spot in life. Like, you've been through something
Mhm.
and you've overcome it, and now it's a teaching moment. And so if you can show that vulnerability, I think you can relate to people and help other people. And
Mhm.
sometimes people don't take it that way.
Right.
Reading the room is huge. I want to be as polished as I can, and I want to read the room to when to capture people with my vulnerable side, because there's humanity in both. There's authenticity in both, and I like engaging and understanding who your audience is and
Mhm.
when to use it. Yeah, I mean, I would love to be polished 100% of the time. I would love to, but that's just not how it works. Sometimes the emotional me comes out, and what you get is what you get, and
Mhm.
that's who I am. And you can either sit at the dinner table and enjoy it or you can get up and leave. And
Right.
both are okay. And I think both being polished and being vulnerable, those are totally fine. The thing though is intent. It's how you use it, right?
Hmm.
Because being intentful and purposeful with your actions do matter. Because if you're using it for good, totally fine. But if you're using it for deceit and fraud, I'm not about that.
Right. Yeah. And that's the key, I think, is context and intent both, because both do have pros and cons relative to doing certain things and how you do them. And you don't ever want to mislead people and be inauthentic when you should be authentic, else you know better than a lot of those scammy ads. But yeah, I think it's a good thing you seem to know when to shift and when to switch hats, so to speak, and get your point across in the most effective way.
Yeah, and I think it really comes down to being able to connect with people. I don't have a lot of talents, but the one talent that I do appreciate is that I can talk to like almost anybody. And it's because I truly care. It's not just because I want to get somewhere. It's actually because the person in front of me matters. And I would love to use my talents to make people feel more positive about themselves. I'm hoping all of this that I do with the modeling and my professional life, my family life, that takes center stage.
It sounds like somebody's going to be public speaking before long. I know that you said you hated it, but it sounds like
Oh, I
something
hate
that
it.
you might overcome down the road, I think.
Uh, yeah, I don't.
I'm rooting for you on that front. No pressure. But seriously, you could do that. You have the right words and everything else. It's just that confidence in that particular arena, I think, would go hand in hand relative to that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
No problem at all. Well, Tony, where can people follow you? Is there a specific place you'd like them to look at?
I mean, you can go to my Facebook, my Instagram. I use my real name, Tony Brettman. I'm also on TikTok. All of those avenues have a link tree, so you can find my modeling Instagram page. But yeah, I'm out there. Just
Heck,
type in my name.
heck
I'm
yeah.
out there.
I'll pop those on the screen for people should they need the visual cue.
Perfect.
Well, Tony, is there anything like up and coming imminent that we should look out for?
I love supporting authors. Without the authors and photographers, I would not be here. I'm actually nearing 100 covers, which is super
Nice.
exciting. So I'll have some more cover reveals here before the end of the year. As far as photo shoots, I don't have anything planned, but I'm always open.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to use the rest of the year to prep and plan for 2026.
Yep.
It's already
Same.
booking up fast.
Good
And
stuff.
I'm trying to make a big jump into becoming more than just one-sided. So I want to let 2026 show my dynamic side. So for the rest of the year, I'll be in prep trying to figure out what that looks like.
Heck yeah. I can't wait to see where that leads. That'll be
Yeah, I'm excited.
awesome. Tony, thank you so much for coming on today and showing that strength isn't just built in the gym and that you can live it and breathe it any way possible. I appreciate your time and everything else.
Thank you so much, Golden. I appreciate the opportunity. It was a blast.
Heck yeah.
I'm always here. So whenever you want to chat, you want me to get in front of or behind a camera, because I can now shoot, believe it or not, a
Oh,
camera.
shoot. Well, we might
Yeah.
have next
So
time I'm in your area. I think we might have to plan to do a switchy thing. Well, thank you so much, Tony. This has been the Furious Focus, where we talk about creativity, culture, and the chaos in between. Everybody, you got to stay furious out there, but also be sure to stay focused. We'll catch y'all next time. Thanks a bunch.